Hey, it's Jacob, and this is update number 2 on my 67 Ranchero Turbo LS drag and drive car. I'll give you a walk around. So, a lot has happened since the last update. The front end is pretty much together. The car is a roller now, it's supported under its own weight. And I'm just finishing up the last kind of engine bay stuff before I start wiring it. I might even do some wiring today. So I'll show you everything. So this is my LS. It's a dual injector intake, as I think I covered in my last video. Bosch 210s, and then these are just Nissan Titan 29-pound injectors for my pump gas street driving side. I have 10AN just push lock breathers on each valve cover. That'll go to the back of the car in the case I knock a piston out. Don't want it going all over the track. On that note, I have an engine diaper, but it's not in right now. I'd like to do a belly pan at some point. My steering shaft should clear the headers and go down to the rack. So I'm kind of happy about that. I don't have to do like a weird like triple U-joint or anything. 3-inch cold side tubing. These seams are going to be welded, so I won't have connectors there. This is just a Gen 4 truck drive-by wire intake. I think they're like 87 or 90 millimeters factory, so more than enough than what I need. And I'm going to get some questions, I'm sure, on this turbo placement. It's pretty close to the rad, but I'm going to defin the rad since it's so big. It's a 2008 truck radiator. I'm going to defin it all in this area and let the turbo breathe through there. And because it's definned, the air shouldn't be too hot, so it should just pass right through into the turbo. But there's also enough room on the sides for it to kind of breathe as well. So I'm hoping that'll be enough. This is a VS Racing 6-inch intercooler. I think they rated it at like 1600 horsepower. Yeah, dual 3-inch ins and out. And it's just mounted on stands in the front there. And then the rad is supported by my fender tabs. So these come off the bars down there, and these support the vertical weight of the fenders. And then my rad is supported to this too, so it goes in there and locates it forward to back. And on the bottom, there's these cups too that the rad fits into to stop it going from side to side. So I'm kind of building the front end to be modular. So if I want to take the front sheet metal off at any point and race, I can. And if for some reason I want to go dry, I can just pull the radiator out and the water pump and everything, and the intercooler will stay where it's at. So it's not connected to the radiator or dependent on the radiator in any way. Since it's a truck rad, I need a expansion tank. So here's just a billet aluminum. I think it was like off a Mini Cooper aftermarket, but for a Mini Cooper. Apparently, like, according to Matt Happel and Cesar Enriquez, cars with expansion tanks just do better, like cylinder or coolant pressure wise. So I'm curious to see how that works, like with the expansion tank, if I'll be lifting heads very much or if that will help at all. I'm going to put a pressure sensor in there just for coolant pressure and log that. I kind of want to do a pre and post intercooler pressure sensor as well. My motor plates, just made tabs off the frame rails there that it bolts to, if you can see, and it bolts to the water pump holes. And my mid plate is very similar. I just made a shelf for it off the frame rail and a vertical tab with the 2 bolts. That I think is like 90 thou steel, so I don't have to worry too much about like converter spacing or dowels or anything like that. Although it came with a flex plate spacer, which I'll use out of the same material. I have dual 44 millimeter wastegates. There's one right here, and the other is down there. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I have a blow-off valve too that I need to weld in. That's kind of the front end. The wiring is going to be super tidy because it'll all come through a hole behind the intake there. And my coil wires, I'm going to mount my coils inside the cab and run wires out. My brake master cylinder is inside the cab, and so that's pretty much what it's going to look like. There's going to be no wiring. There's going to be like one more rad hose that's kind of ugly that goes on top here to connect that to the water pump. But I'll try and make that as tidy as possible. Mounting my fuel pressure regulators here out of the way. You can't even see them at all with the fender on, so I'm excited about that. And inside, I have my fire bottle back there, and there's still room for the passenger seat. And for now, I'm just using a cheap plastic, like off-road seat that weighs like 10 pounds for that. For the Fairlane guys, that's all just that heat shielding that melted when I was welding the patches in. So it looks ugly, but it's just melted rubber. There's a bar that goes right where the fan would have been. So I'm gonna run just a standalone heater core, and I'm only really worried about blowing air on the windshield. My Kirky containment seat is in. I put my belts in too. I need a set of belts for this side. Yeah, my steering wheel and shifter are in. My big mirror so I can see. My parachute handle, my helmet hook or steering wheel hook. You can see my master cylinders there. And it's a gas pedal out of like a CTS, like an 05 Cadillac CTS, because that's what the Holly wants. And yeah, my CO2 bottle is mounted in there. I'm going to mount my Holly Dominator behind the CO2 bottle right there. And then that way it's protected from like a dry shaft explosion by the subframe connectors and other things. So I don't want that in the middle, and then it can be taken out by something like that. I have a window net to put in too. I had to order a longer one because the one I had was expired, but it was also too short. And then my diff, it's a 4.9-inch. I have 40 spline axles on the way with a Yukon aluminum center section, so it should be able to handle anything I want to throw it at. My Jegs XHD converter, it's the 429 one, so it's the tighter one. Yeah, that's recommended a lot on the Sloppy Mechanics pages. And then I don't remember if I went over my tanks. I think I did. So that's my pump gas 25-gallon tank, and then a 5-gallon ethanol tank with my triple Walbros. Yeah, that's kind of an update for now. The car's coming. I had the front sheet metal on to mock everything up, and it looks like a car again, so that's exciting. Yeah, till next time. Thanks for watching.